Okay, everybody, I think we will start this webinar now. A very warm welcome to everybody online. Today we're going to talk about the final conversations in life and how you can use digital translation in palliative settings. I've got Sara Westerberg with me today, and we will have a longer conversation with her. And during the conversation, if you have questions, you are most welcome to use the chat to ask the question. And if you do want to speak, you can unmute yourself and also raise your hand and ask your questions live. The agenda during today's webinar is a very short introduction to Care to Translate. My name is Ellen Allison, and I work as a Chief Commercial Officer at Care to Translate. We will talk, of course, to Sara. She's our main event today. And we will spend a few minutes also to look at the solution Care to Translate, the application, in a live demo. And then, of course, we will spend some minutes at the end to have some live Q&A with Sara. So if you have any questions during the session, don't be shy. Ask all the questions in the chat. So let's get going then. What is Care to Translate? Well, we are a company which mission is to break down language barriers in all types of care, really, not only healthcare. And we want care to be accessible for everybody. Today, we actually have over 700,000 users worldwide, a very impressive number. Over 700 organizations use our service within care settings today. And we are live in over 150 countries. This tells us that language barriers do exist in all areas and corners of the world. So what is the solution then? This is a digital medical translation app. So this is something that you download to your phone, or you can use it also on a laptop. It is a voice-to-voice conversation tool that you use in a real-life setting. It is made for healthcare, so it's completely safe to use in healthcare. It has all the certifications needed. We don't store any patient data, which of course is very important in this context. We also have one part of the app, which is a verified phrase library. And here we have over 4,000 medical phrases, which are verified by humans in their native tongue. So this is, of course, a very good complement to the real-time translation, which works pretty much as you would expect. You speak in voice and you get voice back, or you can also type in if that's what you prefer. We also support images, which can enhance the communications with patients where there is a language barrier. I'll show you all of these features, of course, in the demo at the end. So we will see the app in action, but before that, I am very, very happy to say welcome to Sara Westerberg. So Sara, you are a nurse specialist in advanced home care at Capio. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about who you are?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me? Is the sound all right? Great.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I'm Sara Westerberg and I'm a nurse. I'm a specialist in palliative care, and I worked in advanced home care located in Stockholm. So I was working here during a couple of years before COVID, and then I stayed with the mission to help people get the best quality of life that they can do. And that's what I do kind of all day, just meet people where they are in their life at the moment, and guide them with conversations and with medicine and with care.
Mm. And in a palliative care setting, communication is often described as the foundation of care. And why would you say that language and communication is so critical in the final phase of life?
I would say that the foundations of good palliative care has some very apparent corners. We have communication, we have the family. We want to keep people with as comfortable as possible, and to make everything happen in a good manner, you need to not only transfer information, you also need to understand the patient and the family and the person where they are at that moment, because every individual is unique and they have their unique problems and unique pain and unique suffering, and also everybody has their own unique way of handling that suffering, which means that they can enjoy things that maybe I don't. And I need to have the ability to be open towards everybody's own unique perspective, and to be able to do that, you need to communicate.
And how hard is that? Can you describe what typically happens when you have a language barrier?
Well, we are lucky in Sweden, and in the way that we can access some translation services when needed in the hospitals. So information like where people are, like you're in this hospital and this is my profession. That kind of information people can get wherever they are, but it's hard. The hardest part is to communicate in a way that kind of transcends the layers of all this suffering. It's not only like you need to be at this appointment at 3:00. It's also like, how do you feel when you're in pain? What are you scared of? Do you understand what this pain means to you? Are you faking the happiness towards your children? I mean, these are kind of rough questions, and I say that we're lucky to have some translation services, but the thing is that all of these kinds of information that you need to, when you need to be familiar with the patient, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and it takes like a personal connection, and that's hard to do in your native language. It's hard to sit down, it's hard to take time as it is, and also adding that you don't speak the same languages. It can be frustrating and it can be sad. And I also want to say that the patient and the patient's family, they are experiencing this usually for the first time, so they have nothing to compare with. They don't know that it can be so good, because when you get access to the patient's thoughts and feelings, and they get access to what I as a nurse has to offer, it can be a really good experience, and it's very comforting and rewarding to be able to take the patients and the family through the journey in palliative care, that you get sick and what happens after. So, but usually the patient doesn't know what they're missing out on, but I know I know that that a conversation that's over in 3 minutes should take 30 minutes, because I know what can happen when it's really good. And sometimes I experience that people who's not like perfectly fluent in Swedish, they don't want to be a burden. So maybe if they can speak their native language, they can speak more openly, but they don't want to take up resources, or they don't know who they're talking to when they're talking to a translator, and so on. So since I know that when there's like a native language situation going on, that can take time. I know that when we don't understand each other, something is left out. And I think that you can look at the importance of good communication for the patient's perspective, but you can also look at it from my perspective, that I should be able to work with this kind of work for a long time, many years, many situations, many families, and to be able to do that, I need to be able to lift the pain and to handle the situation. You need to it needs to be rewarding, and it needs to be done in a good way. So that's why I think it's so important for good communication.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, just kind of trying to summarize what you're saying there, that for you to be able to give the care that makes this really, really tough situation to be as rewarding as it can be, you are very limited if there is a language barrier that you can't address.
Yes, and that's the example with like you need to be an appointment at 3:00, then that's information that people usually need 1 or 2 times. You don't need to hear it a lot of times, and it doesn't change. It's 3:00. It's 3:00. But the information about how the treatment is changing and how that this cancer is incurable, or that we need to change the way you plan your years because you don't have years. This kind of information also a lot of times is impossible to understand and comprehend when you receive it for the first time. It takes a lot of time. It takes repetition. It takes understanding of the person's situation and the way it views illness, and all of the things. It's not sufficient to just say it one time, and the patients deserve more time.
Yeah, they need to hear it again and again and again, because these are, of course, difficult messages that they have to be able to digest as well. Okay, so kind of having this challenge led to the project Making Final Conversations Understood. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that project started?
Well, since we got the opportunity to make this kind of special quest, we sat together. I mean nurses in the special home care part, and also at the hospice part of our hospital. We sit down together with Care to Translate, and we put together what we believe is common phrases, and also phrases that we believe different from what you usually hear, like the way you approach a person's eating habits in a surgical ward is different from when it's your last weeks in a hospice ward, and so on. So we tried to figure out what differed, what was in common, and what we miss, and also what we know can be hard to hear, and also honestly phrases that we know sometimes disappears from the vocabulary when we have a real person that translates. It can be the interpreter that we order from hospitals, but it can also be when you unfortunately use a relative, a child, or a father of the patient. There are a lot of times where the right information doesn't get through, and sometimes maybe it's okay, but a lot of times in our setting, it's really important that it's clear what we mean. And we wanted to address more than just, are you in pain or are you hungry? We wanted to ask, how do you feel about this? Where do you want to be when you die? This care that we're giving you can't cure you, but it's really important that you speak about how you feel, and so on. and those questions are a bit trickier than you first think to develop, because sometimes there are cultural sensitivity to it, and sometimes you translate it to a harsher version than what you mean, because there's a lot of prejudice or just weird things that people think about palliative care. So we wanted to put it on a level that is true to what we try to tell people. So we had to sit down, a lot of meetings, and we spoke to each other. Is this what we mean? Is this what you mean? And so on. And it was beautiful to be able to see that whoever the person is, we just want the best for them. We just want them to be safe and to be respected. And it was a nice experience to hear from the hospice nurses that work with different kind of patients from different kind of families and different kind of backgrounds, how they always try to meet people, and how hard it can be. And we also noticed that we have this in ourselves. The nurses are very, very experienced, and no matter how many years we worked, we have this in us that we're going to fix things. So they're very have a good imagination, and we use body language, and we use sticky notes, and we use colors, and we try to solve it. So we had also, the hardest part was to be honest with ourselves and say that maybe we are doing a really good work when we're trying to communicate, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe we could be able to do something more. So that was a challenge. That was tricky. You have to go inside yourself and be honest. But it was nice. It was a good experience, a good co-working experience with everybody. And then we, after a while, when we received the phrases into the Care to Translate app, we started a small group who tested it and got a education on it, and we just started to use it. And then it grew a bit, so both in the hospice setting and also in the home care setting, we used it.
Okay, and just when you created the phrases, then that it was mainly the ones that are you also included the hard ones, but you made sure that you phrased them in a way that you thought would be representative. But that's also where you see a problem with maybe a translator or a family member, that the truth is sometimes hard, and it's hard. It's also maybe a responsibility that a relative shouldn't have to say that to a mother or father or son or daughter. So you had this list, and then you had a smaller pilot where you actually put it into work in a clinical setting, both for home care and in the hospice. Okay, so can you share some example? What was the reaction? What was both from a kind of maybe a staff and also a patient kind of perspective, in terms of where did the tool help a conversation that might otherwise have been difficult?
Yes, it was a great experience in that patients, when they were asked if they wanted to participate, both in like a really small setting or just their thoughts on this, that they felt happy and they felt grateful, which is a weird experience since they shouldn't be, but they were. That I really wanted to understand them. So it was nice, and of course there were different languages, different cultural settings, and so on. But everybody had that in common, that it worked. I know that we received and gave more information with the app than without it. Sometimes there was a lot of conversation. Sometimes maybe it was 2 more sentences than without it, but it was more. And the thing is that people are so unique, so it's only like afterwards, after the death or after when you don't see the patients anymore, that you can tell if it was good or not. It's a bit tricky, but so sometimes we only use it like on 2 visits, and it was enough, and you can see that the patient had a different view because something clicked maybe, and that's my experience with during this whole experience, that I saw more puzzles getting like fitted together. So sometimes when the puzzle pieces get together, it's a sad experience, but it's still an important experience. Like even if the image that you see is bad, at least it's clear. So, and I feel that that patients also sometimes saw it as like a little fun game, that they could hear their language in this kind of setting, because they don't. They speak it with their neighbor or their family member or on the phone with someone, and all of a sudden the home care staff spoke it. So it was like, oh, so this, maybe they didn't understand the word in their own language at first. Oh, so this thing, it's called a oh, I didn't know. That's nice. So it was fine to have those little moments of exploring something together as well. But mostly the experience is a sad one in a way, because you're in reality all of a sudden. But it was very successful. And
would you say that it was sorry, would you say that it was in certain situations, were there some situations where it worked particularly well, or was it, home care versus hospice? Was there some situations where you could see that this is a good use case for using this type of solution?
It's hard to compare them actually, because usually people are more towards the end of life in the hospice setting. They have shorter time left, and then it was maybe more guided towards close family and so on, because they also need a translation. Even if they knew some Swedish, maybe their Swedish they knew their experience in the language wasn't enough, so we could help them as well. And in the home care setting, we came to their home, and they explained more things about how their day went, and they could have translation in the hospital, where they received like sad or good messages about the treatment, and then at home we could speak a little bit more freely and relaxed and about smaller things. But it was really nice to see that the information that was shared could be more precise. I think it's sometimes you forget how many details that there are in the word of like sickness or pain or fear or sorrow or happiness. It's so much more in every word. So I think the difference is that it was more about the day-to-day life of these people who had palliative care in the home setting, and more about end of life in the hospice setting, of course. But it was most of all, the most common thing was that you could realize and get more of the patient's own wishes and thoughts when you use the translation service. When I used the app, I could find out what they wanted. Sometimes I just put up 2 things and they chose one of these 2 things. But when I had the app, they could just like, it was there. Oh, this is really what I want. And it was small things and it was bigger things.
And we've had some question around, you know, how the app actually works. So you made your special kind of dialogue lists for palliative care, where you had some sentences that are appropriate then that you took, that, as you said, might be different from other types of care. For example, you know, what would you like to eat? And the whole conversation around food, of course, it changes if you're in your surgical ward or if you're in palliative care. So that you had that phrase list, and then you also had the ability to use the live translation, where you just speak into the app and you have a target language, the patient language, and the app will then translate for you. And you said in the home setting, it was more around the kind of dynamic conversation. So did you use both parts of the app?
Yes, we did. And I could say when we have the phrases, just like clarity in treatment, and also me knowing that it was quality in the phrases helped a lot. Like, I know that this thing that is coming out of my speaker on the phone is exactly what I want to tell them. And sometimes I had good information about the patient, like I've seen them a couple of times and we had a good laugh or not, and so on. So I know that even if it's like a bad message, it's the right message, and I could be there and be present with them. And then the live translator was more like adding small practical details, like you could take 4 of them instead of 3, like stuff like that added to the conversation. And I think that it was important to be able to explain symptoms when they know why they felt them, and to be able to just reduce the small misunderstandings, because they seem small and maybe they don't make a difference in the long run, but I know that they make a difference for the patients. So just to like fine tune and adjust, we use the and to just say things that aren't real sentences, so to speak, because when we speak, we don't speak in real sentences. We don't have this correct, grammar when we speak. So that was nice to be able to have a little chatty chat, so to speak. And what we noticed also when we introduced this, that if you're not used to using translators, it's a bit weird. You feel like stiff and you don't really know where to begin, and it feels like a robot. But then you just have to practice a little bit on your own. So before we go out to patients, or even when people had their logins, we just said, talk to each other or to yourself. Just sit in the empty room and just ask something and see what happens when you do it. And I also said, you don't have to do it. Just try first. And then every time someone tried, they wanted to use it. So it was really nice to see that the hesitation kind of wore off really quick. We said, just play with it a little bit. And people could, also pick which type of translator they wanted to use, the live one or the phrases in each settings and so on.
So you would say, so you would say that it kind of increased the confidence of the healthcare professionals as well. And in terms of the patients, then sometimes people might worry that technology could feel kind of impersonal, and in these very sensitive situations. From what you're saying, that's not really what happened when you introduced this digital tool.
No, I understand where they're coming from, but it's more impersonal to not speak and not ask a person what they want. It's more impersonal. And to sit next to a person, to look them in the eyes and know that, to show them that you are there with them and you are not stressed, and you want them to know that like, I want you to know that that it's important for me that you understand. And then if it's like a robot or a translator in person, that's not the deal. It's like your presence and that you're showing some type of like engagement to show the person that they're important to you and that their understanding and their language is important. It kind of takes away the feeling that it's impersonal. But I understand the viewpoint, but because it's a robot voice. Of course, it may feel like that for a bit, but when you start to press the buttons and you start to hear it, and it's your words, it's your thoughts that you want to share, I think that disappears a bit, and maybe we're coming to that later. But one advice is just to have a couple of shareholders, or what you call them, people who in each team have special knowledge about the app and likes it and speak about it, because we trust each other. So if I feel that it works, it's good. And I also am very thankful that one colleague of mine who's not very easily convinced, who's a bit skeptical and doesn't buy anything that people says, that he liked it. So it felt I felt good when I told people to use it, and it also, when you see that it's working, when you see that it has those results that you want, then these kind of feelings of robotic voice and digital tools, it kind of disappears. And since I think that we people are very creative in the healthcare setting, and it's good. But since the deal with privacy and since the deal with like correct information is so important, and also like easy usability is so important to us, it was nice to have a tool that was like, we know that this is correct, so we don't have to think, we don't have to be worried about that. And I could say, don't worry about that and that and that. That is safe. You can do it, and then you just have to press on the icons, and it was every obstacle removed makes it easier.
So that's, I mean, I'll just summarize the takeaways a little bit here, because I was going to ask you what you would recommend if you have someone out there who looks in a healthcare settings or are facing, language barriers in a sensitive area, which palliative care clearly is. And what you pointed out is that have a champion or two inside the organization, someone who knows the app really well, who knows who it's how it's supposed to be used, and how you want to use it as an organization. And then also explain around, the accuracy, that they can trust the translations, that they don't have to feel worried, because I would understand as well that when you say something and then a voice in a foreign language comes out and you have no idea whether it was right or wrong, that could also be stressful for staff. Okay, I think that we should round off. I want to keep you here, Sara, because we're going to do a question session as well. But we have had some questions around how the app actually works. So I thought I'll take just a few minutes to show you guys a little quick demo of how the app actually looks. So now I think that you can see the app. And this is the home screen. So this is where you end up when you log into the app. As I said before, this is on a computer, but this looks exactly the same if you log into it on a mobile device. So here you have shortcuts to what we call the live translation feature. You have some other features here, very prominent on the home screen. Here we have some examples for these lists, dialogue lists that we have talked about. And I thought I will start with showing you the live translation feature. So here you have the dynamic conversations where you just can press the microphone and speak into the device. Hi, how are you feeling today?
Hi, 今天感觉怎么样?
So this was now Chinese Mandarin. So here is where you change the patient language. Now I don't read Chinese, so I don't know if this was correct. Therefore, we have a live translation feature, which is these arrows down here. So I press them and then I see what was translated. So here you see actually that it was a correct translation. I can also change the language here. So here I can put in, maybe we'll do Russian. And then for Russian, there is, of course, nuances to the language, whether it's a male or female. So I'll choose a female. And then
Как ты сегодня себя чувствуешь?
the same sentence is then displayed in Russian. And here I can then say something else. Do you feel hot?
Ты чувствуешь жар?
And then I can, again, I don't read Russian either, so I will check the reverse translation. And here you can see that there is a discrepancy. So, do you feel hot? I was asking, do you feel feverish? But the translation became, do you feel the heat? So here the context is actually wrong. So, and this is machine translation, so this can happen. Machine translation will never be 100%. So here it's important for the staff to know that there is a context switch here. So here, if I'm a staff, I have to then rephrase. Do you have a fever?
У вас есть температура?
And now what happened was, do you have a fever is a medical phrase stored in our medical phrase library. So here you can see that the blue box came up, which is a verified translation. So here I don't have to worry about any reverse translations. As Sara said before, I can trust that this is the right, whatever comes out in Russian is the correct context for do you have a fever. So, and then of course, if I spoke Russian, I can use the blue microphone to speak back in Russian. And then if I hit the home screen, we're back where we started, where we then have also the dialogue lists. So here I've now got lists suitable for elderly care. I can look at, for example, this one called examination. And the big difference here is that I don't have to speak into the device. This is one of the lists that Sara and her team created for palliative care. So here, this is now a list in the context of elderly care where you say, you can just press play. You don't have to speak into the device. So you press play.
Можно вас обследовать?
So this was, may I examine you? And here the patient can also respond straight into the app. Yes, no, I don't know, or speak freely using the microphone. You can then just go down the list and say, please move to the examination table. Here,
Пожалуйста, переместитесь на диагностический стол.
And here you also have an image to further enhance the conversation that you're trying to make. You can also, of course, always change the language. And here we also have a new feature, which is detect language. I mean, this is not very common. You end up in a situation where you have a patient and you don't know what language they speak, and they cannot either show you in the list. But here you have a detect language that you can, if a patient comes in, speaks a language that you don't know, you can use this feature just by pressing the microphone and let them speak. Nu talar jag svenska. Hör du det? So here I spoke Swedish, and it correctly said that this was probably Swedish. So this is how you can also use the detect language feature if you don't know what language the patient is speaking. So here I've now quickly shown you both the lists, how you can use them, but also how you can use the live translation feature. Now, before we end this, I see that we have another 4 minutes to go. So I'm going to stop sharing again and welcome Sara into the conversation. And we're going to see what we have in terms of interesting questions in the chat. The translation in Russian was actually quite accurate. Great that we have a Russian speaker on online. That's really good, and you could read it as well. I'm very happy to hear that. And usually it is very good, I must say. But of course, it's if you are in a sensitive setting, then many of our customers prefer to use the phrase library because, as Sara also mentioned, you can trust the translation. It has been verified by humans who are then medical experts within their native tongue. Here we have also someone says, a colleague uses Copilot and it works. It's free and easy to access. What makes this app better than Copilot and other AI tools? A very good question. Absolutely. There's loads of AI translation tools that comes out now. The thing here, I think, is the medical context. So in a setting like this, I don't know, Sara, what I let you speak to the question as well, but just using a normal AI translation tool, why would you maybe not choose to do that?
Well, it is the accuracy, to be honest, that I know. I can be confident that it's the right words used. Just a second. Okay. So I haven't used anything else in like a real patient setting, since I don't use apps and tools that can put the patient's security at risk. So I don't have anything to compare with. Thing that is about my setting is that since I work in a home care setting, I want to be sure that the app doesn't follow where I am at the moment, since it's like a real personal information. Maybe it's different when it's a hospital. But like I said, I haven't used anything else. But since in palliative care, it's so important that we don't use cure, for example, when it's not curable. I mean, it's you think that but the translation is okay, but what if it's not? And it's the whole reason people are content or sad or happy or stressed out. So it's for my security as well in my workplace.
Yeah. So just to sum up then, it's of course the accuracy and the context of actually being sure to say the right thing. And on the other hand is, of course, a kind of data privacy question as well. If you use, for example, Google Translate, all the conversation used will be stored in Google's cloud, which is not either kind of approved as a tool. So there could be several reasons why you should go for a purpose-built tool for this.
And it's, sometimes patients have, as people have experienced, also have trouble. They have no idea what this patient data security is about, but it feels weird to them to speak about their health issues with a third person on the phone. And so then I can just say that this is just a machine, nothing is stored. This information will not go anywhere else as well. And it's also nice to be able to say that.
Yeah. Okay, I see that the time is also running away from us. I know that there are some questions in the chat that we still haven't responded to, but I promise we will respond to all the questions in writing. And if Sara, there's some for you as well, so I'll make sure that you also answer the ones that are directed at you. And we will come back to all of you with the video, of course, of the recording, but also responses to all the questions in the chat. So with that, I would like to say a big thank you to Sara for taking the time today and talk to us about how we can use digital translation in palliative care. It was lovely to have this conversation with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That was all our pleasure. And and to all on your line, thank you so much for spending your lunchtime with us. And I hope to see you again next time.